Welcome to the Cross Canada Spotlight. I'm Ross Hall. Every week we take a look at a handful of the most entertaining and interesting stories produced across the Global News Network. We start this week with yet another impact of the pandemic, more puppy owners. As people rush to get dogs over the last several months, they are now experiencing some growing pains with their pets. Meet a BC dog trainer helping them cope.
He's responding very well.
They're honest, friendly, loyal, and smart, possessing the best traits of human nature, much like their human counterparts.
Oh, I was born in the year of the dog.
Mariana Warnell has been training pups for nearly 2 decades, opening her own business, Middle Earth Canine Academy, 6 years ago. But 2021 has been the busiest yet, thanks to one thing.
COVID.
The surge in pandemic pets, a direct result of people working and staying at home. In lockdown, dogs and puppies were able to provide the companionship people so desperately needed.
I think for some people it wasn't quite what they were prepared for, especially when they get into their adolescent phase, just over 6 months to just under a year. That can be a trying time.
Zach Dutrasak's dog, Finn, who is now 7.5 months old, also happens to be deaf.
A little bit more work, a lot more work.
Together, they've been working through Warnell's 10-session course, learning visual cues, including sign language, while using this hobbit home constructed on the property to help teach what behaviors are acceptable in an indoor setting.
It's just a sit and stay.
It's set up like a little house inside so that you can actually train dogs, what is okay to do and what isn't okay to do.
It's in here you can see the sheer volume of work on Warnell's plate.
Well, this is 2020's binder, even with the few months off with COVID. This is 2021's binder, and we're just getting into July, so halfway through the year.
But like the dogs she trains, Warnell also has a strong sense of responsibility.
Yeah, so I'm going 6 days a week most of the time, and occasionally someone on my day off.
If that means it will help these pups remain in their forever homes instead of being surrendered, then it'll all be worth it.
Because it's a family member, it's a commitment.
Kylie Stanton, Global News, Colwood.
That trainer is on point when she mentions the commitment that's involved when you have a dog. Speaking from experience, they really are a big part of the family, and here's to hoping that her work will help ensure all those puppies can stay in good homes. Well, to Alberta now, where people are getting expert tips on how to maintain their outdoor gardens and nurture those green thumbs. Meet a Calgary woman who's using her backyard as a classroom for urban farm school tours. Take a look.
Everything we've chosen for this location really loves the heat.
Your driveway is probably not your first choice to put in some plants, but look what's on the grow here.
Artichokes, they have really rocked it out of the park this year.
Carmen Lamoureux is using her yard as a classroom for one of her urban farm school tours.
So all of these plants perform different ecosystem functions. So for example, this catmint, it's got such a strong scent, it actually repels or masks the scent of other plants in this area that deer or rabbits might love.
Working in harmony with nature to get the most out of your garden, a popular pursuit for a lot of people this year.
I'm spending way more time than I ever was during the pandemic out in the backyard. It's nurturing, it's just a sanctuary amongst, some of the craziness.
When we're pruning, we're laying everything down back on the ground. All that stuff holds water. Our classes have gone through the roof this year. Food security is a big issue right now. So people are wanting to take a little bit more control over their own lives.
It's a much better use of the space in our yards than just putting grass down.
You can see we're growing corn here. It's really a challenge to protect a tall crop like this from hail. So this is an insect mesh. The hail will actually just bounce right off of this.
It's all about being prepared for whatever the weather brings.
This really, really long pipe. This is coming all the way from the second story to this 4,000-liter rainwater system.
Are you running low with all this hot weather?
No, we're still good.
A bit of work, but worth it.
It's a beautiful thing to walk into your backyard and get dinner.
Harnessing whatever you can to make it happen.
So this is our insect hotel. Holiday Insect, or the BB&B. A fantastic way to support our important pollinators.
Gil Tucker, Global News.
Great to see that people are not only learning about how to get their gardens to thrive, but also getting tips on working with Mother Nature to get the most out of outdoor spaces. Staying in Alberta, we go to Taber now, where a sweet treat is flourishing due to the hot weather there this summer. Watch this.
One of southern Alberta's sweetest treats is officially hitting stands this week, despite a cold, slow start to the growing season.
End of June we had that massive heat wave, and that the heat never really turned off from there, so it sped the corn up. It was good for the corn.
While other crops in southern Alberta have suffered due to the extreme heat, even with irrigation, corn actually thrives at higher temperatures. James Johnson with Johnson Fresh Farms says the hot weather has worked in their favor.
Corn likes heat, as long as it doesn't get too hot. I mean, even, you know, when it was up at 39, 36 during the day, the heat of the day, even that was a little hot for the corn.
A good growing season is well overdue for Taber corn producers. Hailstorms have hit the region hard the past few years, limiting the availability of the product and shortening its season.
It's important that we get off to a good start finally. You know, 2 bad years. It's kind of getting old and draining on everyone. So yeah, we're hoping we'll have a really good year that'll make up for it.
The thriving crops are good news for Taber Corn Fest, which is set to run the last weekend of August. The big event was canceled last year due to COVID-19. So kicking this year off with a good quality crop is just what organizers were hoping for to celebrate their town and their trademark product.
The corn in Taber is simply the best in Alberta and Western Canada as far as I'm concerned.
With a good supply of cobs this season, Johnson says there will be plenty of corn for the event and for visitors to take home a tasty souvenir. Quinn Campbell, Global News.
Just an example of how weather extremes can have such a big impact. In this case, a bumper crop for one farmer, while others haven't been nearly as fortunate. We go to Napanee, Ontario now, where a field of sunflowers is capturing a lot of attention and getting numerous likes on Instagram. Here's the story of a farmer who unintentionally created a roadside tourist attraction.
We love to see the posts, we love to get tagged. The owners of Kaiser Lake Farms grow sunflowers as a seed crop throughout the summer. But these bright flowers have a short window before they're harvested in the fall. And that's why the owners are encouraging the general public to come on out and witness their beauty before they're done for the rest of the season.
But we do crop these as a harvest, and we know that people charge, people take photos, people do that thing, so we might as well put it for the road, near the road for people for easy access.
Lo and behold, people want to stop and take a picture.
The sunflowers have become a hit on Instagram ever since they were planted over 6 years ago by Max Kaiser.
Again, I can't attribute it to anything specific. I'm sure COVID has contributed some because there's a limit to what people can do, but it's been growing every year since 6-7 years ago.
Kaiser says the flowers weren't meant to be a tourist attraction. The bright blooming fields actually play an important role in crop rotation.
I never plant a field to the same crop 2 years in a row. So number one, I'm always rotating, and that's part of the fit for the sunflowers in our rotation is it's a different plant. So it helps the soil differently than other plants.
And the flowers also help put smiles on faces with bright, cheerful pictures on countless social media posts. These flowers sadly are about to start withering as they approach maturity. But Kaiser says if you missed this year's photo op, don't worry because they'll be back.
Every year we plan to continue to plant sunflowers. We plan to keep them at the roadside for people's personal use and enjoyment.
An annual infusion of sunshine that these farmers are happy to share. Kayla Karim, Global News, Napanee.
Well, I'm all for a picture-perfect moment, but hopefully the social media love doesn't hurt and people respect the space, knowing that they're not only sharing this field on Instagram, but also with everyone else. Well, finally this week, as travel restrictions ease, more people are considering their travel options. So what kind of considerations do you need to make when you're planning a trip? Here are some tips.
After 17 months of being grounded, many Canadians are getting the travel bug once again.
I call it desperation travel. Right now, I think that Manitobans and most Canadians, they're desperate to get me out of here, and I've already been through one winter. I don't want to go through another.
Although international travel hasn't bounced back just yet, travel interest and trip planning is starting to soar once again. But experts say pay attention to detail when planning a trip. Vaccination rates, testing and self-isolation requirements, airline requirements, and accepted vaccine types are all things to put on the checklist.
You don't want to get to a second airport and find out that the airline won't even let you on.
Patanuk also says do your homework on the cleaning protocols of the hotel or accommodations you're staying at.
There's a huge trend taking place right now for the Airbnbs and the VRBOs because the home sharing seems to allow people to walk in, make their own cleaning if they want to do so, and not run into as many people.
And while travel planning is simpler within Canada, Manitoba's top doctor says it's important to stay vigilant and follow the recommendations set out by the province.
Staying home when you're ill, washing your hands, maintaining physical distance from other people, especially if you don't know their vaccine status, wearing a mask, indoor public places is an option. So, I think overall those are still good recommendations moving forward.
Key points to keep in mind before taking off. Marnie Blunt, Global News.
Well, taking a trip is obviously not as simple as it once was. However, even though there are more things to take into account now, just having the option to plan a getaway does provide some hope for those feeling the travel itch. Well, that's it for Cross Canada Spotlight this week. Be sure to watch Global News Weekend Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on the Global TV app. For now, stay tuned for more news and weather.